Hey guys, it's Dragan from MuseShop.net, and today we're talking about Low Poly Particles Muse widget, a widget that enables you to add this kind of animation to your Muse projects. It's a fully dynamic effect and reacts to your click, and you can set a variety of effects for it. So let's go to Muse and see how the widget works. I have a blank page over here with a heading. I'm gonna click on Library and let's load the widget. It acts as any other Muse rectangle element, and here you have the settings. So let's go over what the settings do to the widget. First you have the animation speed, and that's basically the speed at which the animation moves. Then you have the area of effect, and that represents our hover effect and the diameter around the hover effect. And we can set the behavior of our hover effect and how it reacts with the animation. Currently it's set to 300, which means it will grab everything in 300 pixels around our pointer. Then we have the particles settings, and if you take a look at the animation, the particles are these small dots that connect the lines. And the settings that are available is the number of particles. You can have between 50 and 200 particles on the page. Just keep in mind that a larger number of particles might slow down the animation effect. Then we have the particles color, the particles opacity, and we can choose also a particle shape. You can choose between circle, edge, triangle, polygon, and a star. Then we have the stroke thickness for our particles. This means that you can add a stroke to our particles and you can choose how thick the strokes will be. You can also set the stroke color and the particle size itself. And finally, for the particles, we can select the particles direction. If it's set to none, the particles will randomly move around our canvas, and we can tell them the direction in which to go. Okay. Then we have the line settings. And the lines, as you guessed, are these lines that connect the particles. We have the lines color, lines thickness, and lines opacity. Now we have the interaction settings, and you can choose the on-hover behavior and on-click behavior. The on-hover is obviously when you hover over the animation, what happens, and the click behavior is when you click. The grab effect enables you to change the appearance of the lines and particles in the area of effect. So let's say all of our lines have the opacity of 0,1, and if we set the effect to grab, we can set the lines opacity to 1, and we'll achieve kind of a brighter lines effect around our mouse. Then we have the bubble, and let me show you the bubble effect over here. In our second demo, when I click, you see the bubbles appear. That's what it means by bubble. So the bubble basically triggers an animation which makes the particles grow and then makes them small again. And we have the repulse, which pushes the particles and lines away from our pointer. And for our click behavior, we also have bubble and repulse, and we have two more. We have push and remove. And push and remove are the exact opposites of one another, where push pushes in more particles when you click, and remove removes the particles. And we have the individual effect settings. We have the grab lines opacity. That's what I was talking about earlier. If we set this to 1, all lines in the area of effect will have the opacity of 1. And as you can see here, the line's opacity is 0.5. Then we have the bubble effect of opacity, and you saw the bubbles animation, and this sets the opacity of those effects. Then we have the bubble size, and we can set the duration. So let's create a drastic effect over here so you can see what we did exactly. We'll leave the number of particles and the area of effect and the animation speed, and let's make our particles red, and we'll choose the particle opacity. Let's leave it at half, at 0.5, and let's have them as polygons. We're gonna give them stroke thickness of 2 pixels, and let's make their stroke yellow. We're also going to make them a bit bigger, let's say 10 pixels, and let's give them the top direction, which should make them move to top, from bottom to top. Now we have the lines color. Let's leave that at white. so we can distinguish them from the particles and the particle strokes. Let's make the line thickness at 2 pixels and let's give them the opacity of let's say 2. That's almost invisible, but they'll be seen on the black background. And now on the on-hover behavior, let's leave the grab, and on the click behavior, let's repulse the particles. That means we're gonna push them away from our cursor. And let's set the individual settings. The grab line's opacity, let's leave that at 1. Remember, we left the line's opacity at 0.2, which should accent the effect of the grab lines. We won't change the bubble effect because we're not using it in this presentation. So let's make this full width. The widget's of course completely responsive, and let's push the widget below the text. So let's preview what we've made so far. And as you can see, the direction makes the particles go up. The particles themselves are red polygons and they have yellow strokes, and the grabbed lines are white and very visible, whereas the non-grabbed lines are almost completely invisible. This is the hover effect, and let's see what happens when we click. This is the repulse. It pushes the particles away. And that's about it. Have fun creating with the particle widget.